in the beautiful underwater image that opens the fantasy masterpiece, The Shape of Water, the name of the actor who's going to play the villain is introduced at the exact moment the narrator says a very important word.
When I tell you about her, the princess without voice, and the monster who tried to destroy it all.
The monster in this movie is Michael Shannon, but it isn't long before the director of The Shape of Water lets us know that there's going to be more to this monster than meets the eye. Starting right with one of the most intoxicatingly clever character introductions in recent memory. To give a little background of what's happening here, a fish man is caught in the Amazon and brought to an underground laboratory, and so the lab security boss is brought in to assess the situation. Here, Del Toro brilliantly uses a few grunts in white clothing and a few puffs of smoke to instantly align this character who's about to appear with the greatest of the greats in our cultural imagination. But, question for you. When this iconic villain walks in, what sort of anthem do you expect to be playing? Probably something big and menacing and brassy, right? Well, let's take a listen. Isn't it so interesting that it's a French horn that's used here? It's still brassy, it's still bad, but it's not quite what you would expect. It's not even a completely evil sounding instrument. It just has questions and pain. Strickland's definitely an interesting monster. On the plus side, he really wants to have self-control. He wants to live by this moral code. He's really driven by the American dream and achieving it. That's not bad. But on the negative side, he's got some red flags like this cringe when his son kisses him. And also, he talks about his electric stick while peeing in front of women.
Look, don't touch. That lovely dingus right there is an Alabama Howdy Do. Molded grip handle, low current, high voltage, electric shock cattle prod.
Since flipping symbols is such a big part of the message of this movie, I feel like I should almost rather represent the pro side with dark and the con side with light. Might as well shift the symbols for good and bad while I'm at it as well. And I could go on about the disobedient use of symbolism in The Shape of Water all day, but I want to focus on one scene that happens a little bit later to show exactly how Michael Shannon and the writers of Shape of Water build such a compelling antagonist.
Get them out.
For context, Eliza, our heroine, she's the mute cleaning lady. She's fallen head over heels for the fish man. A little later, she goes to check in on him and finds him in shackles. Someone's on his way to do an interrogation. What follows is only 5 lines, but in this film, every word is put to maximum use, and our conception of Strickland expands with each new line.
Oh, you missed me, huh? Took a candy break.
Right off the bat, we have an interesting substitution of symbols. Something good is being used for something bad. Not only is this a classic device in horror, where you take something familiar and safe like a shower, a baby, a smile, and turn it completely on its head, it's also a great way to kick off any character with intrigue. Because anytime we see a bad guy using something differently than the way we expect, it puts us on guard and on the lookout for something more.
This is what scared you, huh? Well, gee, you should be used to it by now.
One way to make a guy scary is to show him doing awful things on screen. Strickland has no shortage of cruel actions on camera, but if his character was limited to only the actions that we see, he would feel shallow. This line is a teaser. It suggests the character has done bad things that we don't know about. How bad is he? What is he capable of doing? And what has he been up to since the last time we saw him with his fingers bitten off? Well, we don't know exactly, but with this teaser, Strickland can be as cruel as our imaginations care to fill out.
There you go again, making that god-awful sound. Is that you crying, huh? Is that what it is?
Beyond the total lack of empathy here. These words establish an extraordinarily depraved inner conflict. Yes, it's terrible to mock someone in their distress, but it's especially disturbing that Strickland is doing it in English. Strickland is acknowledging that this creature has intelligence, and even creepier, that it has emotions. Is that you crying? Weird. We've got to ask, how is Strickland capable of being so cruel while at the same time affirming the fishman's sentience? Elsewhere in the film, brilliantly constructed, it's established that Strickland is able to dehumanize the fishman because of his moral beliefs.
You may think that thing looks human. Stands on two legs, right? But we're created in the Lord's image. You don't think that's what the Lord looks like, do you?
I wouldn't know, sir.
Now, this philosophy sounds obviously evil when a movie villain says it, but this is the same logic that real people use in real life. It's easier to justify violence against
towel heads, rag heads, diaper heads, illegal aliens, gooks.
With this line, Strickland grows into something more than the stereotypical bad guy who inflicts random pain because he can't help it. This is a guy who actually believes he has a good reason to do this damage. This is a guy we might even be able to see ourselves in. But back to the interrogation.
Are you hurting?
Okay, now he's just rubbing it in.
Are you hurting? Are you hurting? Are you hurting?
What strikes me most about Michael Shannon's use of his lightning stick is that he's not just a dumb punisher. He knows many ways of inflicting pain, both emotional and physical. Yes, there's the obvious zapping, but also the tapping, the humiliation, the teasing, the domination, the toying, the baiting and switching, the reminding of past injuries, and the power to inflict future injuries. We're dealing with a sadistic savant here.
Are you hurting? Maybe. Maybe you'd like to get another bite. Huh? Go ahead.
This is classic projection. Pardon the pun, but Strickland shows his hand here, admitting what all this cruelty is about. Here, the scene reaches a tragic character climax for Strickland. We understand he isn't oblivious to the fishman's humanity. He isn't completely blinded by the religious stuff he believes in. Deep down, Strickland knows that the fishman deserves pity and respect as a fellow human being. But Strickland chooses to inflict pain because he's angry that he's been hurt, and on a deeper level, that his sense of control has been threatened. And maybe this is a justified anger. We know that both Strickland and the fishman injured each other when they first met, but we don't know who started it. It happens off camera. We just see the aftermath. But the answer to who started it doesn't really matter, because now we know that Strickland's response is evil enough, and even scarier that it's backed by a twisted library of moral symbols. It's going to be very hard to get Strickland to see anything else. It's tragic.
When is a man done, sir, proving himself a good man, a decent man?
Each of these 5 lines has its own way of illuminating a frightening new chamber in Strickland's mind. Subversion, suggestion, conflict with self, variety, tragedy. This is what a great character and a great performer can do. The more I study Michael Shannon, I do see that, yes, he's an actor with dramatically fortunate facial structure. Yes, he's an actor with impeccable technique, a mastery over how to distill every thought or emotion down to its most potent form, the flick of a wrist, the squint of an eye. But beyond this mastery of form, I see an artist who's very intentional about where he directs our attention with his life's work. He patiently shows up to set, movie after movie, role after role, and now it's our work and joy to look back over the last 10 years of Michael Shannon and consider, what do this guy and this guy and this guy have in common? And this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy.